I can't hear you.
Rhonda, you probably can't hear us because the mic ain't on.
Oh, okay. I can hear you now. No, I can't hear you.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Okay. Hello, Allison. Hello, Rhonda. I see Allison's lips
Hi.
moving. Allison is doing some technical stuff there, looks like. Oh, there's Allison. Hi. Were you talking to us, Allison?
Oh, we can't hear.
No, wasn't. I was just waiting to be let into the meeting, and so I was talking in the background and didn't realize I had been let in.
Okay. Well, it's going to be a quick one, so that's good. Rhonda, can you hear us well enough to be able to take meeting notes for today?
I can try, sure.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'll try and sketch some down too in case.
Okay.
I don't think we have all that much to cover, but let's call the meeting to order. Do I have a second? Yep, got a second. Great. I don't know if you guys were able to review the minutes. Somebody sent them out very late. So, but if you were able to look at them, or if you want to take a second now, can we have a motion to, include the minutes or approve the minutes? All right.
So moved.
All right, great.
So moved.
Thank you very much. And if you catch anything after the fact, let me know and I'll amend them. So we don't have that many items to cover right now, but I wanted to let you know that I have put together a very simple budget for submission. I was going to talk to both Allison and Janice about it before I officially submit it, but so I've got that going. As far as the next step with the historic preservation ordinance, hi, Michael. I pulled all the text together and I'm starting to edit, but it has taken more time than I thought it would take. But we have a meeting on the 21st at 10 a.m. that Megan Rideout's going to join and Shenley is going to join. Allison, you can join if you'd like. But basically, we're going to start looking at the draft document and getting input from Megan about how we might want to align the text to just kind of preset ourselves or set us up for a possibility of becoming a CLG. So that's what she's going to be talking to us about. So I think that meeting is going to be at the library, but that's to be confirmed. I'll send something out. I hope to have the document online before this week is out, so tomorrow or the next day, so then people can start giving feedback directly into the document. Next thing I was going to talk about is there has been a thread that I have been attached to that Allison probably knows a lot more about, and maybe she'll want to talk about in her liaison report, her elaborate liaison report, that there's been some dialogue about STRs in Camden, and it has a little bit of, I think, an effect with us or something for us to kind of keep an eye on. But there's just been some talk about the definitions around short-term rentals and long-term rentals. And I've just been attached to that thread, kind of monitoring it, but I haven't seen anything that really directly falls on our plate. Yes.
Any more
Agenda?
agenda? Yeah.
Yes.
Too late on
Speaking
the
of
minutes,
long-term
the
rentals,
agenda.
it's anybody
Agenda.
know of anything else?
So, here's another pair too.
Oh, yeah. Hi.
So, as I said, I haven't seen anything that really falls on our plate or something for us to really discuss, but I just thought I should call that out. Maybe Allison has more to talk about there. I don't know. So that's really it for me. Main thing I want to do is really get the ordinance going, get our budget proposal in, and then begin the new year and see what projects we want to really kind of move forward on next year. I know everyone's really busy and we're not going to get too much progress going here in December, but that's really it. Allison, do you have anything to share with us?
The STRs, that might be more than I'm able to chew on today. I have COVID, unfortunately, so I'm feeling a little fuzzy brained. I was feeling much better yesterday, but but the main thing I think that's important for the committee to know is that we're, with the budget process this year, we're taking more time for the budget committee to become familiar with some of the different priorities of the town and all of the different funding requests. And so we can have like a more meaningful discussion that's a little bit more combined with the select board. We've been invited to participate in the budget committee meetings some this year, which normally it's been like the budget committee meets, and then they take like a month of doing this. And then at the very end, the select board kind of has like 1 or 2 meetings, and we vote up or down various budget committee things. And over the years, a lot of things about the budget committee and the way the town sets the budget have left people feeling like frustrated for different reasons. So this year, one of the things that we're trying is we've already started having the budget committee meet even before the budget is being, is completely developed. It used to be that they wouldn't meet until the town manager had a budget proposal to like have them review. This year, we're having the meetings as the budget is being developed, so that can kind of help to inform some of the the budget that the town manager actually puts before everybody. Because some of the things, it's awkward to have the town manager decide always what she thinks is a priority and what isn't, and then have the budget committee kind of beat that down or not, when a lot of it could be more collaborative and her priorities can be better informed by like committee conversations. So looking at how to integrate like the budget committee stuff with all the other committees, my understanding is that on January 25th, there is going to be the budget committee meeting is going to also be an opportunity for committees to come in and share with the budget committee what they see as priorities for the upcoming year. So I think that will be really good to be able to have more conversations about this. So it's not just a question of like, did Audra include this in her budget or didn't she? So that'll be something to look out for. And I've been told that there'll be something that gets sent to all of the committees or committee chairs about that. But just to have that on your radar for now.
Can I ask you a question about that, Allison?
Sure.
Do you think, I like that you use the word collaborative there. Do you think, one of the things I've wondered about is how hard do our line items need to be in terms of proposing a budget? Because some of the things are kind of speculative things that we'd like to do this coming year, but the numbers are soft or speculative. Is that something that they will consider? How do they work with that? Or do you need to have firm numbers, know absolutely you're going to spend these dollars in the upcoming year? Or
so what we're really trying to get away from is having like committee budgets in the same way that like a small nonprofit organization would have like their own segregated budget. What I talked to Audra about this yesterday, again, just to double check that, and there can be, I'm sure, more conversations about this, but having the committee, instead of saying, we want, this is our budget for all of these things, what we'd like to know is we anticipate wanting to do this amount of printing in the upcoming fiscal year. We expect it to cost, around this amount. And then the idea would be that those numbers would be used to inform other lines in the budget that already exist. Like we have lines for communication, I think there's one for committee projects, maybe even there's printing, there's marketing, there's all this stuff that's in the overall general budget that what we want is for the committees to be saying, we want to make sure that there's enough money for this. And because there is, if we know that, okay, we've got a bunch of committees that really want to be doing a lot of, more printing of things to share information, or, we also know that we want to do more of that as a town too. We just want to make that line more robust in general, so that we're not, like, right now we're in a situation a lot of the time where, things come up during we approve the budgets, or we propose the budget so far ahead of the actual implementation that it's kind of silly to be like, well, you didn't have that $850 in the budget that you put
Right.
together 18 months ago. So anyway, that I think is how we're going to try to do it, that, coming up with the things that you're going to want to do during that budget year and rough costs. And then there might be times when it makes sense to have it be specifically segregated in some kind of a historic resources committee dedicated line, and Audra can help with those cases. But overall, yeah, it doesn't need to be an exact quotes
Great.
change anyway. That's just a fact.
That's super helpful. Functionally, though, will we still have a separate account that is the HRC committee account, and with carryover, we already have some money in that account that will still carry forward? Or is this going to be a reorganization about how dollars are kind of allocated to the committees?
You're in a little bit of a unique situation. We don't have this with other committees where they've just been able to accumulate money that gets carried over in a dedicated account. I think that would be a good thing I don't think there's any effort to try to take anything away. But it would be good to know that, what the money that's there, what's the perceived purpose of that now? And what is it appropriate for using, I would think, for some of the things that are being proposed in the coming year.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's really helpful.
Okay, Allison, does, if there's education money or put aside for the committee's education on historic resources, does that go into an education budget, or would that be one of the legitimate line items that Chris would present?
So I think present all of those things, and you don't have to be worried about where exactly it goes. We can have a larger conversation about that. What's important is that the funds would be available. So you're not the only committee we have. There's a professional development, there's training, that's in different parts of the budget. And so, for instance, the Conservation Commission they wanted to join the Association of Conservation Districts or something similar. And there was already enough in like a memberships and dues line to do that. But if we started, that's one that might need to be bumped up there. But there is training and professional development and things that can be used for conferences. They went to a conference also, and they were able to use money from one of these accounts. And I think that's a great thing for like our committees, and I would like to see more of it on the select board too, just an emphasis on more like education, so we can be knowledgeable and going to trainings, and if there are things that are gonna costs money, I think that would be a great thing to try to get in the, but, in the budget. And there can be a conversation with Audra about exactly where it makes sense to put that
Mhm.
in the budget, but just knowing that you want to do more of it is good.
Great.
Thank you.
Awesome. And was there something else you wanted to talk about? Did you want to talk about the SDR or not at all? Not really.
I think that the thing with I'm not exactly sure which thread this is is this an email?
Yeah. Mhm.
Am I on it?
I thought so, but maybe not. I don't.
I could be at saturation point or somewhere in my email and it's not.
It was pertaining to a letter that Shenley distributed that came from developer of the units over by Camden Hills Park about kind of definitions around STRs and his kind of advocacy for policy in the town. And then there was a whole series of responses to that. Maybe you weren't on that chain? Okay.
No, I'd be curious though. Over by, you mean the Springbrook condominiums?
I believe that's right. Yeah. Yeah.
No, yeah, I'm not surprised they want to. That's a little bit of a sad one.
Yeah.
So I think overall the housing, the big emphasis that's been put on, from the planning board and also the select board is that increasing the availability of housing year round, at least somewhat affordable market rate housing is a big priority. And the planning board is looking at different ways to make it easier to build different things in areas that are appropriate or to convert things. And so I think the biggest concern that I see is that wanting to find a way that a historic preservation ordinance could work alongside this effort, maybe even complement it in some ways, rather than be perceived as something that's just going to get in the way.
Yeah.
And, if I think taking the opportunity to ask Megan, maybe if she has seen any examples where historic preservation ordinances can lead to making it more possible to develop housing rather than less, whether that be maybe allowing certain things to be done with historic properties in terms of, turning them into multi-unit homes if their exterior can stay the same, or waiving parking requirements, or just things that we could do that could help to make those historic buildings also like an asset for not the super wealthy that can afford them on Chestnut Street, or not that there's a mix of people on Chestnut Street, but I'm really concerned that this might be just seen as a barrier to all of that. And I bet there are creative things that have been done in other places. There's even that affordable housing additional tax credit that often gets paired with the historic preservation tax credit, or so I think anything that the committee could do to try to bolster that side of things would go a long way for the long-term success of getting something passed. And that's where I think that professional expertise and training and things like that, there's got to be stuff that has been done in other places that, would allow historic preservation and housing affordability to be things that can go hand in hand at times, at least. So yeah, I think that is it for
Okay.
me.
Great. Thank you very much. Yeah, what you've outlined is exactly what I was wondering, is how drafting the preservation would interface with development. Yeah. So we'll definitely talk about that with Megan and try and find some good examples. All right. Moving on. So old business, our famous Chestnut walking tour.
Well, not a whole lot has happened since we met last. And I really didn't think I'd be able to get back to it until January. Hopefully, I'll be back in my house. I know I keep saying that, but it might actually happen. So I have no news to give you.
Rhonda, let's you and I put a day on the calendar to meet and just talk about that early. Does that sound good? Like sometime in early January?
That sounds great because I think a little discussion and direction will be very useful at this
Okay.
point.
All right, great. Moving on. I don't think we have any St. Thomas Bell Tower information, do we? Anything to talk?
None that
Okay.
I'm aware of.
Still on hold as far as I know.
Okay. All right, but I know,
Have they recovered it?
No, I
Okay,
think it's still the same cover, but they may have to recover it
okay.
fairly soon.
Yeah.
It was only supposed to last 3 years, and I think we're into 4 or 5, so.
Okay, I didn't know.
I know there's some great Curtis Island information though, and I was out at the lookout this morning. It was gorgeous. But anyway, but Michael, you
Oh,
have
good.
some stuff to report about Curtis
Yeah.
Island?
Well, let's see. I presented to the select board last week, or what is it? Yeah, which week are we in? I get confused.
Yeah, it was last week.
Last week. So I gave kind of a story, and I'll make that presentation available. Maybe I can attach it.
Oh,
There were a few little edits that I needed to make, and just polish it up a little more. But it's in pretty good shape now. And so why don't I send that out? I'll give it to you, Chris, and
Great.
you can attach it. Probably, or I can just send it out. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
So the presentation I thought it went well. The select board was very focused and listened and had some discussion. And I think one of the telling points, so I gave kind of the history, a brief history, what's going on today. In my slides, I showed what it looked like in, I think it was 1940. It was a picture of the island. I had almost the exact picture today.
Oh, wow.
And it may have been when we were out there, and
Uh-huh.
I took a succession of pictures getting closer and closer. So the closer you got, and say the worse it looked, but you could see the defects, so the paint and the roof patch.
Mhm.
So anyway, had a really good discussion, and they accepted the memorandum of understanding. And prior to that, the foundation had, we'd been drafting one that kind of covered everything forever, and we pulled it back. Let's just go to when we do the historic preservation, when the group comes onto the island and does a full assessment and develops a preservation plan. So they've agreed to that. They've agreed to fund half of that, which is about $25,000 that they're putting up. And they're going to use, I think, the money that was dedicated to fixing the roof. Since we didn't do a permanent fix this year, there's still money available. And I think that, that's where they're going to find the money. And once they knew that, it was like a 4-0 vote. So
Great.
it was very positive.
So the cost of developing that plan is split between the foundation and the town?
Yeah. So the
Nice.
foundation will pay for half, and the town will pay for half.
And when do you expect to kind of start that first step?
We're hoping for March. I mean,
Oh,
it's going to
wow.
be a little weather dependent,
Yeah.
but if we can get out there in March, and the crew that will come up, they'll be doing, drone shots. They'll be doing interior shots that really define the whole environment, describing historically what was there, what needs to be done. This is the same group that did Burnt Coat Harbor Light Station on Swans Island, and they're doing the Olson House. So they've got a lot of kind of depth of I'd say, scientific investigation of conditions and how they, not so much how they got there, but yeah, how they got there and then what needs to be done. And they'll look at all the buildings too. So that'll be a really firm foundation to then go out for grants, to go out for bids. And was probably the biggest takeaway that a couple of board members went to Swans Island and talked with them. And they said that was the best thing they ever did, is to have that well documented.
Yeah.
And again, they come in with, I think, about 5 people for 2 days, and we're just hoping with the weather will be good. And so
With a plan that elaborate, is that a 6-month endeavor on their
it's
part,
actually, we should have it back in July.
or- Oh, nice.
And so I would hope there would be some early indications when we get it back. And then we can keep, talking with the select board and saying, I'd hate to lose the whole summer for other building, but it'd be nice to have money raised and be able to kind of move forward on something from that plan.
Do you think that even as they're developing the plan, you might be able to start addressing the roof, or you have to do it in a
Well,
certain order?
the roof, I mean, I think I will definitely say, let's have that design early in the
Yeah.
price of what you think it's going to be early.
Yeah.
Because that's all one thing that could be done, the whole roof and the soffits and the gutters. And that's all kind of standalone, and if you will. And then dealing with the clapboards and the finish boards and the corner boards and the base kickboard around the trim around
Yeah.
that, and the porches that are, they're settling a little bit.
Yeah.
I was just saying, the board along the bottom, this is a water table.
A water table?
On the outside,
Yeah, what's it called?
a water table,
Water gable.
water table,
Oh, table. Gable?
table.
Table, okay. Anyway, it has kind of a unique water table, and it's that kicks out any water coming down, pushes it out over the edge. It's almost like a little drip edge there. So,
I mean, that's fantastic news.
Yeah.
And that's a huge
So-
step forward.
yeah, and it was really nice to have this meeting with the select board. And Allison, I don't know if you're still there, but if you want to comment on, hi, Allison. If you want to comment on your opinions on the presentation and the select board's understanding of what the foundation's trying to do. Didn't know if you might want to comment on that.
I think it's, everybody, you personally have such an outstanding reputation that everybody feels good about things that you're connected to, I think. So yeah, it was an easy sell to the select board. Everybody was, I thought, interested and engaged and supportive. And the only concern that came up was, what if Mike leaves someday? And, how can we, you never know what kind of
Well,
group of people you're going to be left with, and just wanting to, just keep Mike forever, I think, was the only concern. Like, how could we institutionalize that and make, because it was kind of a joke a little bit, but in a real sense, it does, happen when somebody starts something and they're what is really the goodwill, the support behind it, and that if I think that's the concern with power, like the concern about giving too much power to the foundation, is that it not wanting in the future for it to be a powerful organization that is, doesn't have Mike or somebody like Mike that's really in charge. But I think it was a great first step and a long time coming. And, there was, the way the presentation was, anybody would have looked pretty foolish for opposing any aspect of it. I think everybody's just really grateful for all the work that Mike has done. And I know the HRC has supported a lot of that. So it was nice to see that going forward. And I hope that there are no more issues with getting access to the building and that kind of stuff. So hopefully you'll have what you need to move forward. And
Yeah, I felt wonderful for the support, and I think it opens the conversation. And I know one of the things that we're planning, we don't have dates for it, but beginning of the year, we'll start planning it. Will be some public meetings to get an idea of what does the public want? You know, it's a public space, and it's a park, and, you know, there's a lot of delicate balances between how many people are on the island at one time, and the delicate physical environment there. Also kind of the use of it, you know, does it get used as a museum? Does it get used as, you know, what's the primary focus? And I think to determine that, we're going to need some really good public input and get the idea of where folks are. And what people are wanting to, you know, put money behind. And
Other than government and decision makers, how do you think you get public opinion on something like that?
well, I think a great way would be to get people onto the island to see it. And I think anything we do, you know, whatever's happening next summer, I would hope that would be something we could kind of figure a way to get people there safely. You know, it's pretty hard to get up to the island, to get off the boat and then climb the hill. So there's some early work that I intend to come back to the select board to talk about in terms of docking and stairs and a few things that just need to be in place no matter what's happening.
Have you considered anything like a lighthouse day, where maybe there's one day?
Well, there
next summer?
is every year. Last year, we didn't do anything. There is a lighthouse day. I think it's in late August, early September.
Aren't there two different times?
Pardon?
I think the Lighthouse Day is two different times, isn't it? There's two different ones each summer maybe, or
It could be.
summer and fall. Yeah.
I mean, there's some national lighthouse things going on. But those are things that we really need to plan for and be set up so that it makes sense to bring people out to the island. But they've certainly done that in the past.
Is there been any effort? Oh, that's interesting.
Oh,
it's just supposed to be a fun backtrack. Keep talking. I'll explain it at the end.
Has there ever been, I'm not familiar with the Lighthouse Day, but is there a way that any kind of public transportation is provided to get people out to that and be able to explore it?
no, but we're talking about that. I mean, that's kind of one of the early things,
Great.
you know, not only getting contractors there, but how do you get people there?
Yeah, exactly.
Does what you need to get contractors there, is that one and the same thing? So we've got to do some thinking about, you know, just that whole access, and whether you do it in two parts, one for basically contractors during the next 2 or 3 years, or one for permanent. And I don't want to waste a lot of money either way, but something that
great.
could be phased in. And then along with that, I think needs to be some really good policy around access and accountability and the whole thing, so that boats aren't dropping off 30 people at a time. The norm has been, all the reports I've read look like 30 people was the max, 30 visitors at any one time. I just see it in the annual reports year after year. And, you know, that typically doesn't get exceeded, you know, once in a while, but they're close to it. And a lot of people, in spite of the tough access, there every year. So that's about all I have. We're just moving forward with kind of our own master plan of how we would see it done, but that's going to be dictated by the assessment that's done. So, but there's a lot of other moving parts. We're developing a website and hope that goes live in January or February. So
Wow, just amazing progress. So great.
You and Pat, over the last month, have made me very proud to be a member of the HRC. I just
oh,
think it's great.
thank you.
And the presentation was nice, was wonderful.
We got a $500 grant from the West Bay Rotary for the flagpole. That's going to go in. I don't know what's going to go in, but I'm doing a talk with them early January. So now it's kind of at the point where we start to make it known that this is going on, and hopefully we get a couple of strong donations, very strong donations, and again, we're working some of that as well.
Fantastic.
I have a question.
Yes.
Mike, you're starting a website. Are you going to make your talk, your slide presentation available? Because that would be a great way to let the public know what's been happening.
Yeah, and that, whether what I presented to the board will be there, maybe it'll be there as a starter, but the website will have capacity to hold different presentations, different topics. There'll be ways to donate. There'll be, it should be a fairly sophisticated website. And then that website can be linked to other social media. And Charlie Conover, Peter Conover's son, is on our website committee, and he's helping out a lot of the social media and the connecting to younger people, and so it's fun.
The progress is inspiring.
Yeah.
Allison, sounded like you wanted to share something.
Oh yeah, I don't know. Has everybody seen this diorama over at the Historical Society?
Yeah.
This would be. I keep thinking if we could put this somewhere that would help to as part of the awareness raising about Curtis Island, and it's done I think by the same person that did the one that's in the library.
When was it done? Do you know?
What's that?
Do you know when it was done?
I don't know exactly when it was done. I mean, this says 1966, but I think that's what it's saying is that this is what it looks like in 1966. Not, that it was done then, but it's a piece over at the Historical Society that hasn't gotten much attention, and
Wow.
it's pretty cool, with the boats and the.
Is that something the Historical Society would ever migrate to Curtis Island if that was something the foundation wanted to do? That seems like a perfect location for it.
I mean, I guess my first instinct is thinking that it's like better suited for off of Curtis Island when you can
Actually be there.
But I can easily be persuaded. I'm sure the Historical Society is looking for all kinds of opportunities to be able to partner with other things going on, and so I think any number of things would be possible. Yep. It would be great if more people. It's only been a few years that this has been at the Historical Society, but it would be great to have it enjoyed by more people, whether there or somewhere else. But it's kind of perfect timing because it was like, I guess a couple of years ago they went down. We ended up with this, and it's almost like it was just like waiting for some big campaign to promote the restoration of Curtis Island. So
that could be in the town office front window.
Yeah. In that
Someplace
open
that gets
area
a
to
lot of
walk in
exposure. Yeah.
by the elevator, by that mural or something. So anyway.
Allison, do you have a date for the next Historical Society meeting? And if you'd like, extend an invitation to me and I'll go to that.
Okay, great. They are open, this week, just so you know, it's open Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday from 1 to 4. And I haven't gotten to posting this because I haven't felt good, but we have all these historic maps, like the smaller versions of the two main, like 1856 and 1875 historic Camden maps that are big over at the library. And we're going to try to do a thing like if you make a donation to the Historical Society, you can grab a map. But yeah, they're going to be, we're going to try to be open Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays from 1 to 4 for people that want to stop by. But I would love to have you at our next meeting, Chris. So I will send that along.
Awesome.
A couple of other things. Rhonda, the work you did on the history we kind of did some together, but you wrote a story about it. That's going to be maybe edited a little, but that's going to be on the website.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that.
And so Rhonda, with that, we need more help on the history.
There it is.
Well, I love to do that.
Okay, I mean, there's so much there that's just, we've barely scratched the surface, and it's so exciting to find things like, the bell and what Allison just showed us, and some pictures that Allison has sent me of Curtis Island that were very early drawings of the island before there were photographs of it. So anyway, it's a kind of never-ending source of whatever.
Yeah.
But if you just think of, almost 200 years of people living there and living there year-round for a good part of it,
Yeah.
it's a lot of stories.
Yeah.
There are a lot of stories, and it was hard to pick out what to put in that write-up
Yeah.
because there's a lot.
Mhm. Well, that's kind of the first of many to come, right?
Okay.
All right. Great. Awesome.
And I'd be happy to help.
Do we have anything to talk about with the Jacobs Avenue?
I have to go after him.
Yes. Where's your presentation?
First of all, I did want to say, I'm so happy to hear that you're having the conditions assessment, because that was the game changer in the church restoration I did.
Yeah.
I mean, there was so much pushback on spending $40,000 on a conditions assessment, and there were much bigger churches who didn't have conditions assessments, and they let this little church with, 15
right.
members have a grant because
Well, that's
they had
great to
this
hear.
assessment. I don't know if there are other things that you can find out that you don't already know, but boy, we found out a lot of stuff that we didn't already know. It's the thoroughness of it is just mind-boggling. I mean, they were down to where did the sand come from and the lime to make the mortar in the foundation. I mean, it was that much of an analysis. So it's great to hear you're doing that, because it will make huge differences, even though it sounds like yours is costing $50,000. So inflation, but it's totally worth it.
Yeah.
So.
Can I say something about sand?
Yeah.
Part of this house restoration that I'm going through right now, we had our chimney restored, and the mason who came to work on it also worked on the Olson house. And he was very interested in the sand and mortar that was in our chimney, because apparently it was original. And he took some for analysis because it informed them as to what they might want to do in some of these other historic buildings. So that was a little bit of a surprise.
Wow.
Yeah, our church conditions assessment even pinpointed where in New York, like the lime or the sand came from. I can't remember which one it was. I mean, it was that specific.
Yeah.
The kind of analysis they could do. So now that I've said something nice about you, don't get Rhonda too involved in your project because I'm trying to
Say
get her
what?
involved in mine, so.
Well, there's room for a lot of
Yeah. Well,
community
she's,
members.
I mean, there's a big mind over there with Rhonda, so I'm not totally concerned, but you were just so much better organized than me
Oh,
that,
I
you know,
would say
Rhonda's
that.
still waiting for the thing that I said I'll send tomorrow, and how many weeks has it been now? So, but,
Well, I love these stories, you know?
yeah, well, I kind of bombarded Rhonda and Pat, which means you, of course, too,
No.
with my disorganized research, and not nearly, you know, all of it. I mean, just enough to say these are, well, Rhonda was so good that she followed up and she said, "What are your questions?" And I thought, oh, no. That's my whole problem. I have all these questions. And then I thought, oh, I'll write them out for Rhonda. Thank you so much, Rhonda. So we have gotten to that point, and I have been, because we have a lot of company coming at Christmas, I've been going around the house finding more. So my problem is that I'm a researcher, but you know,
The infamous
it's-
binder. that you-
Oh my gosh, there's so much more than the binder. I've got this, you know, one of those things that has the canvas buckets in it, you know, a shelf unit. I have the 13 by 13 inch boxes. And so I think I have 2 of those with all of this information. So basically my plan for the cold winter months was to be consulting with the 2 of you and with Rhonda to help me get focused and get to the writing part of things. I just saw Allison Bixler in Zoots, and she's on board to help me get the 50% or more approval from the residents. And she was more concerned with the short-term rental issue, actually. But a small monkey wrench that we might have to go to Virginia for 2 months for some surgery on my husband. So I'm hoping that, and it's his foot. You have to be non-weight bearing for 6 or 7 weeks, which makes my life not my own. But hopefully, at least I could communicate by Zoom. And just having some other eyes, I totally know my weaknesses, which are, oh, there's another thread I can go down. And I need somebody to say, you got enough threads here. Let's like sew them into a design, you know, let's embroider a design with this, right? So that's where I am.
Great. Well, thank you. Thank you for all of that. All right. And Will's not here, but I know that he was looking into the issues around the Outer Harbor and the shoreline. So we'll wait to hear back from him. Is there any new business anybody wants to discuss or bring up?
I just been cleaning up my house and I found this, I just love this little bumper sticker. Have you seen these?
No.
Wow.
It says gut fish, not houses. And I picked this up at the Preservation Society of Charleston, but I thought, oh, can we use this, or is it like copyright by them, trademark? The Nantucket Preservation Trust used it as well. But I think you can just do this. And I thought, why don't we make ourselves some bumper stickers that, I mean, because that kind of fits with this area, gut fish, not houses, right? We're
Yeah.
right on the water. So,
Yeah, it's super interesting. Really clever.
yeah. So if you would like my dirty bumper sticker for
Yeah, I think
future reference, it never got on a
organizing-
bumper.
I mean, this is kind of nice if we could organize things like this specifically around the vote for the ordinance when that time comes. This
Yeah.
would be a really smart
Mhm.
way to kind of get some local community advocacy.
Well, when I picked it up, it also made me think about our meeting about the house that is going to be not just gutted, but torn down
Yeah.
on Chestnut Street.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know, I would just want to parade by with some of those stickers kind of.
Make a big one, put it
Yeah.
out on the front lawn of the house.
Right. But I mean, we could, you know, if we want to raise the profile of the Historic Resources Committee as well,
Mhm.
we might just have a bumper sticker that says Camden Historic Resources
Mhm.
Committee,
Yeah,
you know, and it's gut fishes, not houses.
that's great.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Great suggestion. Anything else? Chris, do you have anything like, no, okay. All right. Rhonda, anything else?
No, but you get me thinking about marketing. I think that's going to be an important effort for all of this, the lighthouse and the preservation ordinance.
Yeah, agreed.
Now,
All right. Well, that was kind of short but sweet.
Well, I
yeah.
have one other thing. Allison, if you're still there. So the house on, the one on Chestnut Street
Yep.
that's going to be torn down.
Yeah.
Is there any follow-up with them is there anything they can do with that house? You know, they pulled the plastic siding off.
Yeah.
And the clapboards to me looked in good shape. I mean, they need paint and everything, but I didn't see rot. And I'm just wondering if that's a building that could be taken apart. It must be a post and beam structure that the organization that I think Allison had mentioned is I think it might be a high school group or someone who's trying to preserve or reuse old buildings, that I wonder if there could be some connection
I mean,
made
that was
there.
discussed in the demolition meeting, but I think we could have further discussion about it. My recollection in that meeting was there was not a lot of preservation of the elements.
Yeah.
going to be
Yeah, but
part of their
I do
demolition.
remember them, because I can't remember if I said something at the time, saying, we think it's just going to be a mess underneath. And I might have mentioned that, we took them off of my house and it was not a mess,
Mhm.
because it actually that horrible aluminum siding kind of protects the clapboard a
Mhm.
lot. So I think that, they were so focused on the alterations that they felt had been made to that house
Yeah.
and the thought process. My thought process was you take that clapboard off, it could be covering up a lot of things. But they at one point, didn't they say something about that they had looked underneath like the entranceway
Yes.
and
They
they,
said it was deteriorated. and-
Yeah.
and moldy,
Oh,
it
yeah,
doesn't
but they-
appear to
but the-
be, but-
But I'm
but-
just wondering if the whole frame itself, I mean, given there may be some sills that are gone.
well, that's
that
old
need to be done.
wood. That is like,
That's old wood.
it's just
a-
old wood.
Probably pegged together. It's
Mhm.
very crisp. What do you
You
think?
know, I think we talked about this before, about having some kids, some high school kids have, a group if they wanted to get into some preservation to observe and be part of the demolition of the building, if it's carried out thoughtfully and not just crashed down.
Yeah.
And also, if it turns out to be a nice frame, it could be taken down and saved some. So.
Yeah.
And
Just-
I
it's just-
didn't see the pictures, and I've never been in it, of the quality of the plaster and how much of that is still in there, because that's a good reading for how
What's
well the
behind it.
frame is and all that. Around doors and windows, you're gonna find rot.
But the clappers themselves would be worth saving just for the quality of the wood.
Yeah, it'd be nice to go in there and do some real careful exploration and investigation.
Well, here at this, end of this meeting, I'll see if I can catch Jeremy and just talk to him about
Okay.
that.
Yeah,
And Meg,
'Cause it's-
Barclay,
yeah, it is part of the demonstration, I mean, demolition is, what can you do with it? What's
Mhm.
any other uses? And man, if that frame is decent and can be disassembled, and people can learn from it and sold, maybe it could be sold, maybe someone would take it and haul it off.
Or at least document it.
And maybe they could donate the purchase price, the new owner could donate the purchase price of the parts to our committee.
There you go.
Mhm.
Perpetual.
Memorial. His perpetual memorial to the house.
There you go. So that's just a
No,
thought. I've
thank you.
been thinking about it.
Okay, well, with that, a motion to
Move to adjourn?
move to adjourn. All right, thank you. Thank you, Rhonda, for making the effort to join us and taking notes. Really appreciate it.
it worked well this time.
And Allison, I hope you feel better. Sorry to hear about the COVID. That's no fun. And so thank you for the Herculean effort to join us, even if you're not hearing me now. But all right, Well-
When is the ordinance meeting?
on the 21st at 10 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will that be on Zoom?
I feel
Probably
like
not.
I'm gonna have to try and figure out how to do that so that you can be a part of it.
Okay,
Because it was gonna be at the library. Maybe I'll do it via my laptop just to have you included.
okay, that'd be great.
Yeah.
So Anne, are you going to be around for a while?
Okay.
Or when do you
Bye,
go?
Rhonda.
Bye.
I'm waiting to hear back from waiting to hear back from the doctor in Northern Virginia. And, asked if somebody could accept it. I had to be trying to convince him not to use the same doctor he used because the first foot surgery failed. And so I got my shoulder involved, so now I have, we have to come and babysit the dogs while they go on their trips, so so their trip, the couple that says we can stay in their house because we can take care of the dog, they're gone mostly in January, so I'm trying to, I'm a little pushier than my very nice husband. I'm trying to push to say,